Welcome back, YouTube, to more MSQ playthrough. Let's go ahead and hop into it straight away. From what I can tell, a lot of people actually live down here. I don't know how much help we can offer, but I dare say they'll benefit from some of that fresh inspiration Scarlock Montashane mentioned. Let's start by asking around, ideally without getting in anyone's way. Let's meet by the Aetheryte once our work is done. I can't jump on that? Ridiculous. Helping with the Ark. Even with all the power Master Corco's managed to squeeze out of the Aetherburn, it's still not enough, apparently. And now I hear the final days have arrived. Horrible creatures running rampant all over. Only we'd begun the exodus sooner. People are dying and there'll be no end to it if we don't fulfill our duties. But we will. We've spent years preparing for this moment. Believe in the plan and all will be well. Hello? Are you one of the new helpers? Working on the Aetherburner? Oh dear, I hear things have come to a standstill on that front. Even so, I'd choose that over my current duties, checking and loading samples day in, day out. It's tiring, thankless work. Still, no one will be cross if I misplace a few legumes or what have you. The Forum's got enough on their plate as it is. What with deciding who gets to board the Ark and when, a lot of powerful people have opinions about that. My heart goes out to Master Fortunat and the others. Hardly get a moment's rest, I expect. Do they even have time to sleep? Are they in the building? They're not in the building. Are they over here? Oh, I love when I can't find what I'm supposed to be finding. Offering to help, yes, that's very kind, but I should be able to recognize the rest of the documents by myself. It's mostly a list of the things we'll need once we arrive on the moon, and then whichever star we choose as our new home. My duties largely concern the maintenance of living conditions, so I'll be a lot busier after we depart. I hear that our lunar collaborators have come down to assist in our efforts. I'm looking forward to finally meeting them in person after having communicated with them in such a limited capacity thus far. To be perfectly honest, I've not even the slightest idea what they look like. I do hope they're not enormous, looming giants. What I would much rather prefer something small and fluffy like the habited rat. That's not even pure sense or coincidence. You're just pulling my leg. Fuck you. Fancy meeting you here. Our friends in the forum brought us to see their teeny tiny boat, which was quite impressive considering they didn't use any creation magics. What we're really interested in is in Aetheris itself, though we now find ourselves in a sort of funny underground miniatures version of it. We were hoping the forum would give us a guided tour, but it appears they're rather preoccupied. Honestly, all the time to prepare and they're still not ready. I suppose we'll just have to show ourselves around, or at least that's what we were planning to do until we chanced upon Urianger and your good self. Since you're both dawdling about, engaging in idle chit-chat, perhaps you could show us a few points of interest. Won't that be fun? A tour of Labyrinthos. Unexpected yet prudent suggestion. Given the similarities betwixt this artificial environment and Bestaway's burrow, it would be in our best interest to have the Loporrites acquaint themselves with those conditions deemed optimal by their Sharlayan collaborators. I fear, however, that continued reliance upon my limited knowledge would risk narrowing rather than broadening their perspectives. Mayhap thou art better suited to lead this venture. What a marvelous idea. Might we begin with that great big what's-it over yonder? Ah yes, the what's-it. I shall leave its explanation to MSQ. Not the chuckle. Goodness me, to build something so large without creation magics is positively stupendous. Perhaps you could direct our attention to its most important features. It's a little hard to see from here, but with that golden pipe connected to the top of those tanks, I can see through that window another pipe at the bottom. This must be for purifying water drawn up from below. Okay. You spot an umbistoma. It would appear that the concept you observed in another time, another place, was approved for life in the wider world, somehow. Oh. Well, fancy that. Is that water I hear from inside that great big tube? It must be because of those cogs and that gigantic wheel at the top. Oh, I see. That's how they draw up the water. There's probably some sort of spiral-shaped mechanism inside it too. That looks like the trees in Greatest Ensvale. Hold on, that's a bit of strange shape. It's thin at the bottom but big and round at the top. Quite tall for something so unbalanced too. Now it makes sense. That's where they store the water. Well, if I were to hazard a guess, water drawn from underground, presumably some other mechanism, is purified here and stored in that tower before being distributed elsewhere. I'm right, aren't I? I knew it. A design brilliant in its simplicity. I dare say it would take only a moment to install even in the harshest environments. For us Loprits, that is. Indeed, securing a reliable source of water is of the utmost importance for any fledgling settlement. We have read, however, that peoples of Aetheris sometimes make their homes in arid deserts and such. How are they able to survive? Many settlements in Thanalon are built near an oasis. So wherever you choose to live, you're never far from water. Oh dear, I worry we won't be able to procure the necessary amount. We can provide enough water to keep them from drying out completely, but it would appear they rely on it far more than we'd anticipated. A few adjustments may be in order once we've calculated the average rate of consumption per individual. It may also be worth learning more about how exactly they obtain their water in the first place. Master Alpha Node spoke of the machinery responsible for that feat during our journey through Logisk Alpha, did he not? Mayhap the Lawpritz will share his appreciation for the engineering marvel. Ah yes, that sounds absolutely splendid. We must journey beyond the sanctuary of Sarlin Hamlet. I shall lead the way. You mean we'll have to brave the untamed wilderness? Valid concern indeed. We cannot help but notice the many dangerous-looking creatures with big nasty teeth lurking beyond the safe confines of this settlement. Were we not escorted here by burly custodians, I dread to think that would have come of us. Regrettably, to many a hungry predator with the aforementioned big nasty teeth, Lomperts may appear to be a potential and rather appetizing source of sustenance. Might I impose upon thee to assist in securing safe passage to Logisticon Alpha? For my part, I shall act as an escort to Living Way and Cooking Way. I entrust Singing Way and Growing Way to thy care. A more valiant protector they could not wish for. Godspeed. If it's all the same to you, I'd rather not be eaten by some horrid beastie. Come along, Growing Way. To the water extraction, what's it? Thank you so much. I really hope this water extraction once it is worth these harrowing experiences. All part of the fun, some might say, but I'd rather not be burnt to a crisp if it's all the same to you. My friends, I bid you welcome to Logisticon Alpha. Our destination doth lie at the lift's top. Pray follow me. Marvelous, simply marvelous. So this is where the science rather, takes place? The perfect environment to sustain life artificially created. The knowledge we'll gain here will be essential when we start looking for new stars for your kind to inhabit. Apparently most of them don't even have air for you to breathe. You're all lucky that Earthris just so happens to provide everything you need to thrive. Or did mankind turn out the way they are because of the available resources, I wonder? Either way, it's nothing short of miraculous, and I cannot wait to see more of it. It's all very wonderful, I'm sure, but I was rather hoping to learn more about your nourishment provision facilities. In other words, where's the food? I believe, doth. Both the knowledge and consumables you seek may be found at Merle Agronomics, as I imagine seeing away and the others intend to study every conceivable facet of this apparatus. Wouldst thou be so kind as to escort our culinarian? Yes, that sounds much more interesting. Hopefully I'll be able to see firsthand some of the delicacies Urianger was telling me about. Even his incredibly vivid, if a bit too verbose, descriptions cannot compare to sampling them myself. Not to mention Aetherius will soon be no more, so I must learn all I can while there is still time. Let us brook no further delay. This is the place, yes? The heady aroma was enough to guide me here, and I've spotted several of the fruit and vegetables featured in our compendium. I'd dearly love to try some, but I read that those who help themselves to a farmer's crop without permission are often caught and put into pies. Perhaps you could ask whoever's in charge if they would be willing to part with a few samples. What a fine mess this is. Ah, it's you, the one who climbed down the mine shaft. I'd show you around if I could, but I'm rushed off my feet preparing for the exodus. And I'm not the only one. We've all got to find ways to do what we do. We've all got to find ways to do what we do down here, up there. Jesus Christ. First on the moon, then on whichever star the form decides will become our new home. It's all so sudden, so unreal. Don't you want to go to the moon? Well, it's better than waiting for the final days to claim us, but no matter how carefully it's all planned, we'll never be able to take every variety of flora and fauna with us. Even those we can take may not survive in their new environment. So many species doomed to extinction. Sorry, that's not what you came to talk about, is it? Nothing quite so dire, I assure you. We merely wish to sample a little of your produce, if we may. By all means, help yourself. Much appreciated, my good fellow. So, where to begin? Oh, I know what these are. Grapes, yes? Let's see if they are as delicious as they look. So sweet, so sour. The taste is much like a ripe philosopher's carrot, and yet the texture is entirely different. The contrast between the outer skin and the fruit within is most peculiar, though far from unpleasant. Yes, I think I'll try another. Well, that's certainly given me food for thought, though in a far less visceral manner than any philosopher's carrot. Tell me, what is your opinion of grapes? I'd brave an erupting volcano for a choice bunch. Get it? Because Azem went into a volcano? Haha, nice tie back. Yes, they are rather Moorish, aren't they? And from what I've read, quite versatile too. Something about people stepping on them to make intoxicating beverages, as I recall. Anyway, that's enough about grapes for the time being. On to the next treat. Orange by name, orange by nature. What came first, the fruit or the color? Who cares? Let's eat. Yes, that's... equal parts sweet and sour, as with the grapes, yet nothing alike. I may have to consult Orianche about expanding my vocabulary. I simply cannot find the words to describe it. Perhaps what I'm looking for is bitter. That is all very complicated, you know? So many flavors, so many choices, and each individual with their own personal preferences. Now I see why you all turned your noses up at the idea of eating nothing but carrots. Marvelous though they still are in my estimation, let no one say I said otherwise. But speaking of carrots, I've yet to sample any of the vegetables. Let's see what's in the field over there. That color, that texture. Are they some sort of enormous round carrots? No? In any case, proper nomenclature is less of a concern than the taste. Ugh, it's so hard and flavorless. I might as well be chewing a piece of wood. It all but confirms it. These are nothing more than misbegotten failures masquerading as goodly carrots. Stop, stop, stop. You can't see these are pumpkins? And no one with any sense would be eating them raw. You're supposed to cook them first. Do you not find it an awful bother? Far from it. Cooking is a joy unto itself. And what's more, it broadens the range of ingredients so we may safely eat. But above all else, cooking allows us to draw out the full potential of our produce. Pumpkin stew has been one of my favorite dishes for as long as I remember. And perhaps even these hard blocks of plant matter can become as delicious as the orange I sampled. I wonder, though, if there's anything even more delicious. How about that yellow fruit over yonder? What a wonderful fragrance. With luck, it'll have flavor to match. As I've no idea how these are eaten, I'll just bite into it. Ugh, my tongue! Is this poison? A lemon? You mean it's supposed to taste like this? How can something so similar to an orange be so revolting? Ugh, it may be some time before my palate recovers from this ordeal. As such, I had best call an end to this round of sampling. Let's say our farewells and return to the others. Finished, have you? I trust you found something to your liking? I'm rather enamored with the grapes and oranges, less so the pumpkin, though I learned the hard way they're not to be eaten raw. Then there was the lemon, the deceiver. I still feel so violated. First time, was it? I'd hate for you to leave with a bad taste in your mouth in more ways than one, so I'll give you this lemon muffin I baked. If this doesn't change your opinion, nothing will. More lemon? Have I not suffered enough? Nevertheless, it would be remiss of me to spurn this opportunity to... Ooh, a bit of sick came up there. Learn more of your inscrutable ways. Very well, Lemon Muffin, do your worst. This is delicious! Although I still detect a hint of lemon, it complements the sweetness of the dough to create a perfect harmony. I never would have guessed its vile bitterness could be utilized so elegantly. My good chap, this is simply breathtaking. See? We rarely use lemon in its natural state, but it has a starring role in all sorts of recipes, and the same is true for many other ingredients. It comes down to making the most of the resources at our disposal, and sometimes that can even be the difference between life and death. I know we won't be able to take every species with us. No doubt the Forum agonized over what was worth preserving, and what will be consigned to history. Hard choices, but make them we must if we're to survive. Such strength of will. Now I know what Heidelin sees in your kind. Mankind, the Loporits, we were both born from the accumulated knowledge of the ancients. They learned all there is to learn about the nature of sentient life and the fates of the stars themselves. Once a civilization has fulfilled the basic requirements for survival, it will inevitably seek to eliminate all forms of negativity and achieve perfection, and therein lies its folly and its downfall, for perfection is an unattainable idea. It is the paradox of the immaculate carrot. Yet civilizations since time immemorial have deemed the pursuit of perfection as progress. They pay no heed to the costs incurred in their futile quest, and all too often become the architects of their own demise, their dreams forever unfulfilled. What then is the alternative? The answer lies in knowing that our existence can never be perfect, to be content with what we have and make the most of it. When life gives you lemons, make lemon muffins. Pardon my Eorzean, but what in the seven hells are you on about? And who are you anyway? Cooking way at your service. I'm here to help prepare for the trip to the moon. And once you get there, you'll be able to try my carrots. I've been growing all different kinds. Don't worry, there'll be room for your crops too. We'll work together to preserve as many of Etheri species as possible, if you're up to the challenge. Yes, of course, I look forward to it. Well, this has all been highly productive, probably. Let's go and see if Rianchi and the others have run out of machinery to inspect, shall we? That was most enlightening, especially the part with the lemon muffin. Actually, I was wondering, do you know of any other places famed for their cuisine? Limsa Minsa is home to the Culinarians Guild and many less than savory establishments. The Far East has noodles of noodles. Would that I had time to visit. The more I learn of Etheres, the more I wish I could spare it from the final days. Alas, Heidelin's orders are to flee, not to resist. If only there was some other way. MSQ, I trust thy time at Merle Agronomics did bear fruit. Our own efforts, too, were rewarded. We now possess an embarrassment of educational riches. No doubt our guests' relentless pursuit of knowledge can occupy them and us for a fortnight. Alas, time is of the essence. Let us return to Charlene Hamlet forthwith. I shall gladly attend to each and every Loporrit there, should further questions within my power to answer arise. Aww. Think growing while he's tired. Yes, MSQ, that was indeed me verbalizing a sigh to express my emotional state. Do you want to know why? Because I saw the reconstructed environmental data for Aetheris and Logistic Alpha, that's why. A forest so lovely and so leafy. Are all of your forests like that? The Black Shroud is quite leafy indeed, and a place of utmost tranquility. I say, with a star so wonderful, it comes as no surprise that you were reluctant to leave it behind. I was a fool to think otherwise, to assume that the moon was something worth being proud of. How ridiculous we must seem to you, trying so hard yet achieving so little. Not at all. Thy works are no less worthy for their uniqueness. I thought I heard tiny voices. Thancred. How didst thou fare? Or I was able to glean a fair bit from the researchers while helping to improve their cargo. Preparations have proceeded without interruption here, despite news of the coming end. We have the forum's leadership to thank for that. That doesn't mean people aren't worried, though. Quite the opposite. Knowing disaster could strike at any moment, they hurry to complete their work, equally aware that a single error could be the difference between life and death, and we can hardly tell them there's no cause for concern. Perhaps not. Though aided by our goodly growing way, we may yet find other ways to lighten their burden. Me? We have used to people? I'm honored that you would think me so capable, but I'm not sure that I'm up to the challenge. Nevertheless, I believe in thee. If you say so, I suppose it can't hurt to try. I passed someone moping in the western plaza that looked to be in need of a helping paw. Perhaps you might start with him. It's a good place as any. Come. Oh, can I help you? It is you who would help me. Is my anxiety truly so obvious? A burden shared is a burden eased. Pray tell us of thy troubles. Those little fellows do look like good listeners. I'm an engineer, you see, and what they say of the ship, that it's the sum of the decades of Charlene ingenuity, that it's built with peerless, elegant technology is all true, but I know that's none of that's a guarantee. We've never been a launch, fucking, what the fuck? We've never before launched a starfaring vessel, let alone flown it in the great expanse. All the tests we've run have been on the ground. Only operational personnel and cargo will be aboard for the first voyage, but even so, if it fails us then, what can we do? And if it doesn't, it could fall apart on the next flight, or the one after that. We've done everything we can to prevent that from happening, but it hardly matters. We thought the Aetherburner's design was flawless too, and look how that turned out. Thou art familiar with these most daunting technologies, and thus dost thou hold the power to allay his fears? Oh, not sure about that, but well, maybe you could tell me if there are any aspects of the ship's design that you are especially worried about. Our ability to walk about and perform our tasks, for one. I've devised a means by which to employ gravity, especially a spatio-temporal spell, to regulate the environment, but what if it's not strong enough? What if everyone floats away and begins crashing into things as soon as we've left the star? Ah, gravitation. Maybe I can be of help after all. Up there is not so different from down here, you see. The same rules apply, and if you consider them as a part of one big great cosmos rather than separate places. I suspect both parties shall find comfort in this conversation. Yet if Thancred's tale be true, still others would benefit from insights born of experience. Might I prevail upon the Loperids to attend them? An excellent idea, if I do say so myself. There is naught we'd like to more than to ease the hearts of the fine people of Aetheris, and learn more about them while we're at it. Full glad am I to hear it. Gather thy companions and bring them hither. MSQ, thou hast a gift for finding souls in need of succor. Pray thee seek thee out the distressed and the apprehensive, and inform them that help is at hand. I shall await them here, that I might introduce each to a suitable Loperid. Oh, I do so look forward to that. A place for every Loperid and every Loperid in their place. Oh my god. All done finding all 8 fucking people. God, that was annoying. This big ass fucking circle that you could find them in. Jesus. O Damask, through thine efforts worth hath spread throughout Labyrinthos, verily to a far greater number than we anticipated. Living Way doth gather more Loperids as we speak. I shall assign each in accordance with their skills, that new bonds of friendship might be forged. Should greater matters require not thine attentions, watch over them, I prithee. I'm getting a little frustrated because, like, it has nothing to do with nothing. Could we get to the story? I don't want the filler.
Forever.
Lively, isn't it? The town is abuzz. Everyone eager to meet with our friends from the moon.
Twould behoove you to consult with Sleeping Way. As our moon's pilot, his advice should be most pertinent.
I'm impressed. Truth be told, I struggle to tell one from another. No offense intended, of course.
None taken. After you and your friends left Mare Elementorum, we spent no small amount of time with your Urianger. Oh, the conversations we had. He told us all about Aetheris, answered our every question, no matter how trifling or trivial. Look! Every page filled to the margins with knowledge. When I first arrived, I was struck by how little I knew. It was daunting. But then I realized that, were it not for Urianger and his teachings, we'd still be stuck on the moon, gazing at your world and wondering what we've been missing.
What would they think if they could see Urianger now? I dare say they'd be more than a bit surprised. And impressed, no doubt. Master Louis Soir, Minfilia, Papalimo, and not to forget...
Unbrida.
Oh there. Heard there was a visiting expert who we might bother with a few questions. I take it you'd be the one.
Yes, I am.
Wilson and Blovida, Charlian's foremost researchers in the field of teleportation magic, and Moonbreeder's parents.
It hath been some time. Tis good to see you in good health.
Likewise, old friend. Lavida and I were most honored to answer the call. Never expected this reunion, though, did we, dear?
I'll say, the nerve. Sending that letter, then running off to the gods know where.
Aw.
Do you have any idea how worried we were?
I'm sorry. 'Twas remiss of me not to deliver the news in person. No, more than that. 'Twas I who...
Our daughter was disillusioned after Master Louisoix left her behind. The day the Scions called upon her was the happiest I'd seen her in years. She made her every choice of her own free will. No one could have ever forced her to do otherwise. Don't blame yourself for her death. Celebrate her life. You know that's what she'd want.
If there is one thing we resent you for, it was that we could not be there to mourn her with you. Reading the words you penned in that shaky hand, we must have cried as much for you as we did for her.
I'm sorry. I truly, truly am. I knew not what to say. Knew not how to express my feelings. The poems and platitudes of wiser men, musings on sadness and loss, studied and memorized, and meaningless in the moment.
Silly boy. We are all powerless before such grief. Even now, try as I might, the words escape me. But in our hearts, we know, we always know.
I remember when you were young, how the lads teased you for choosing the company of books over others. Our moon didn't take kindly to that. Be nice to Urianger, she'd shout, and give them a walloping. No matter how many times we scolded her.
So we offered a suggestion. Rather than starting fights, why don't you be the bridge between Urianger and the others? She had to mull it over for a while. Arms crossed, brow furrowed in intense thought. But from that day on, she never let you be alone. She'd drag you outside to play, pepper you with endless questions, read the same books you read, all to try and understand you that much better. I'm sure it was annoying and exhausting at the time, but she only ever had the best of intentions.
And look at you now, at the center of the crowd. The reason there even is a crowd, having brought these people together. You've no idea how proud we are.
Not to ruin the moment, but I brought them here. I hunted them down. Thank you very much.
To see the boy our daughter trusted and believed in more than anyone grow into the man she always knew he could be. I can see her in you too. Feel her. She walks with you wheresoever you go. So thank you, Urianger, for being who you are.
I think I can feel her too. The truth of her life. Not sorrow, but hope. love.
This moon breeder. She was important to him, wasn't she?
You could ask the man himself.
Oh, no. But watching this exchange reminds me how much I've yet to learn about your world. And its people.
You can live here your entire life and hardly learn a thing. And that's why it's too soon for this to end.
It's not expecting the musical change. Oh, MSQ, be assured that I am fine. I am full glad to see them too after so very long. Gladder still that it was in your company. As difficult as it was to accept their kindness, it would have been far harder had I faced them alone. Thou hast my gratitude for lending courage to the Loperids. Not disposed to rest on their laurels, several of our guests have elected to accompany my countrymen to their stations. Some few may still come hither seeking counsel, and so I shall remain to aid them as need be. If thou art outneeded elsewhere, do not let me detain thee. As a matter of fact, I was hoping you might check on Alice. Last I saw, she was struggling to carry an enormous pile of boxes out the west gate. I could go myself, but we both know whose help she is less like to scorn. Not to mention that, much to my misfortune, I can think of several other things I ought to be doing until later. MSQ, what are you doing out here? No, I don't mind if you help with the boxes, but it's far from the most exciting of tasks, are you sure? Well, I appreciate the assistance. We need to get these to Aporia. Time is short, of course, but they're full of organic specimens and samples, so try not to be too rough with them. Alphinaud should be waiting for us when we arrive. I'll see you there. Oh, you're helping with the crates. Wonderful. You can put that there with the others. You have my gratitude, but how did you come to be involved in this? Then I suppose I have Thancred to thank as well. If you're wondering why we were tasked with bringing these boxes to Aporia to begin with, so was I. It turns out that this is a base of operations of sorts. Those with final say as to what is included in the ship's manifest can be found here. Father included, I suspect. That should be everything. You carried all of that at once. Are you trying to injure yourself? Oh, hush. They're lighter than they look, and not everyone has your delicate arms. I suppose we should let someone know that they've finished. Theodore Polden is in the courtyard. We can report to him. Why don't you come along? You should get credit for your assistance at least. Considering where we are, we might even learn something interesting. Another aetherite. Is that water? It is water. Gods, never ends, does it? What can I do for you? We've brought samples from Charlene Hamlet, Series 110. The crates are by the entrance. Ah, thank you. I had expected one of my colleagues, but we are dreadfully short-handed. Just a moment. You are Fulchno's children, are you not? Alphanode and Alice at your service. You're well acquainted with father, I take it? Quite. I've been friends with your parents since our days at the studium. I remember when you were yay high, waddling hither and thither. Clearly, it's been quite some time since we've met. 'Tis good to see you again, wielding your father's newless, nonetheless. You knew our parents when they were young. What were they like? Pray square no detail. I should like nothing more than to regale you. Alas, I am meant to be in charge here, and reams of paperwork want for submission. We can help with that. In exchange for the sort of stories our parents would never willingly divulge, of course. Very well then. There happen to be 3 sets of documents in need of delivery, so how about you each take one? Wait right there. You will find a forum representative waiting to collect these near the southernmost structure. I hope I haven't kept you waiting long. Never mind Alphanode and Alice, I'm certain they will be back soon enough. Are you not one of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn? I thought you were meant to be working on the Aether Burner. Theopoldin's paperwork. I was beginning to worry I had misplaced his quill. I appreciate your help in seeing these documents to my hands at last. As for your other task, pray keep this between us, but I sincerely hope you Scions succeed. The Exodus is without a doubt the most monumental undertaking in the history of the Forum, and so we must be circumspect in all respects. Risk is a privilege we cannot afford ourselves. At its heart, however, Charlene has ever been a nation of the curious. 'Twould be a tragedy indeed if we were the ones to stymie your pursuit of truth. Quick and efficient. I dare say you have a talent for this work. The twins' paper only need to be delivered to elsewhere in the facility, so they should be returning any moment. We return with not a scrap of paperwork remaining on our persons, you will note. You both have my thanks, and my apologies for sending you on an errand far below your ambitions. Why, even as a babe, you struggled out your swaddling clothes, and... That is quite enough of that, thank you. It was compromising stories of our parents that we'd asked you here to reiterate. Of course, of course. I've known your father for so long, I must have something... Well, as you know, part of why the Louvier name garners much respect in Charlene is your family's storied history. You too can trace your ancestry directly to those who came aboard Ninkurim's Hope, a lineage few can claim. I've never thought much of it myself. It's not as though our forebears founded our nation. They were simply there when it happened. Nevertheless, it has traditionally been a point of pride. 'Tis why Ninkurim's pronouncement, renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason, has ever been our family's creed. Until your grandfather's time, my Archon Louis looked not to Ninkrep's words but his deeds. He asserted, in defiance of his peers, that choosing to save the great and the small from the rising tides was the true mark of our founder's virtue. Perhaps it was his expertise, his knowledge of ancient prophecy and the fall of civilizations, that led him to conclude that to eschew conflict at every turn was to consign mankind to his doom. There will ever be conflict, and calamity will follow. Thus, to ignore the plight of those whom one might conceivably save is not wisdom, it is indolence. You remember his words well. Indeed, Archon Louisoix lived by that personal creed and used every means at his disposal to bring succor to those in need, Charlene or no. No one loved and admired your grandfather more than his son, yet Fortunato could not reconcile Louisoix's deeds with the philosophy of their forebears and his peers, a philosophy in which he believed so fervently yet made a pariah of his father. Fortunato agonized over this contradiction for much of his life. God's father. A son may carry his father's blood, but his choices are his own to bear. Is it not always thus? Gods know Fortunato's a cranky old goat, so I'm sure you butt heads often enough. Yet even so, you must know that you are constantly in his thoughts, every moment of every day, and that is not an exaggeration in the slightest. Yes, you should have seen him when you were born. Barely recognizable he was, with a kind of dumbfounded grin I'd not seen since he first took a fancy to your mother. He was practically skipping when he told me the news. Take my word for it, he loves you to an embarrassing degree. But he is also frustratingly single-minded. Once he's decided that a given action is for the best, he will stay the course no matter who or what opposes him. Profoundly annoying habit when you're on the other end of it, as I'm sure you will agree. I'll say. Thank you for your insight. When next we meet our parents, I shall mention that we spoke. Try not to get me into too much trouble now. I need the forum on my side. Speaking of which, I ought to be getting back to work. I have to make sure those specimens you brought make it to their proper places. The cranky old goat will have my hide. We can speak again later. Finally, feels like we're getting somewhere. Hail, you three! The fetch quest done? Surely Coco hasn't driven you out of the forge already. Better or for worse, no. However, he has set me on a task that requires more than my single pair of hands, and here you are. I could use at least one of you, but I won't object to more. Unfortunately, Alice and I have prior commitments, and we have delayed too long as it is. What about you, MS? Can you spare the time? Perfect. This shouldn't take long. In the event that our, and I quote, promised heap of adamantite falls right out of the bloody sky and into my lap, Master Coco wishes to be ready to put the proverbial hammer to anvil at a moment's notice. To fabricate these parts, however, he needs the flames in Coco's forge to burn harder. He set me in to increase the amount of aether being funneled to his furnaces. The flow of fire-aspected aether in Labyrinthos is regulated by an elemental reactor south of here, to which I have borrowed the key. The adjustment will require 2 people to carry out safely, but I can explain the process when we arrive. This is where we part then. We'll see you in Charlian Hamlet once the Adamant arrives, if not before. This way then. Alright. It feels like we're finally done with fetch quests and we can get to the main scenario. Rolled my eyes. Back to the main scenario here shortly. So we're going to end it here. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.